My agenda here has nothing to do with being correct or providing advice, but rather to suss out potential ways of considering various topics and situations. Not here to make friends or inspire enemy combatants, though also not opposed to either. Correct me, criticize me, words still won't hurt me. That said, the zombie apocalypse is happening if you acknowledge how many people can rationalize their way out of a paper bag. Any cures provided happen naturally, and I'm not liable. Carry on, shall we? Howdy, humans. My plan in this video is to address my struggle with being seen as intelligent. Yeah, so the whole, sure. But, I usually just am sitting here going, I don't know how I'm going to say this, but I'm just going to start talking because that's what works for me. But I think it makes sense for me to start with why that matters to me. One could argue that it's spurred by the fact that I was called stupid often growing up. That never seemed to actually be the case. I always was a good student. I was well spoken even as a little kid, whatever. So I suppose, if you want to really say IQ is a big deal, I don't know what my IQ is, but I assume it's not low. And I've been a curious person, right? So I don't know that I necessarily wanted to prove anything. I never felt like I was trying to learn more to prove anything to anybody. But the struggle I'm referring to is potentially hard to sympathize with. I'm going to say that I acknowledge that now. But I felt like so I always wanted to be intelligent. I always wanted to learn as much as possible. I wanted to be someone who knew a little bit about everything. That always seemed like who I would become based on my attitudes and what I wanted from my life. But I've faced challenges, and it's not, maybe to be seen as intelligent isn't even the point, as much as not being treated like I must be stupid. Which really, if you want to be stupid, I don't know, who am I to tell you not to be, but I don't think it's helpful. And I never wanted to seem intelligent in a way that elevated me above other people. No. I just want to elevate myself from what I was to what I want to be, right? For me, that's a value of mine that I was constantly working to achieve. I'm still always trying to learn what I can, take opportunity to experience new things that when the opportunities present themselves. So to be treated like that, I couldn't possibly be like that. That couldn't possibly be a fair characterization of how I'm living my life every day was very frustrating. Now I don't interact with many people. But now it seems like that's happening less and less. And maybe because I'm not as bubbly and people-pleasing as I used to be. So maybe the delivery that I have now is harder to belittle. I can't truly say. Because, what can I say about myself that isn't somehow based in how other people are experiencing me, because I may not see myself clearly enough to be able to really say, but I do think I'm intelligent, and I've been told I'm intelligent by other people. So I don't think it's unrealistic for me to feel as though I am. But there's this weird, maybe weird isn't even the right word. It's just always shocked me that my appearance seemed to be, it was the only thing I could really, aside from that bubbliness, is the only thing I can attribute people's inability to understand that I am intelligent and treat me like I'm stupid. That's the only thing I could ever figure was the cause of that problem. And how frustrating is that? I always looked younger than I was. People still guess I'm younger than I am, but I don't think by as much. So when I was like a young adult, I was treated like I was still maybe a teenager or something. And partly because I guess I seemed naive. But that's not fair. Maybe that's all I want to do is complain about how unjust it is. It's very strange to me that people assume, because it's assumption, you assume that because you find me to be whatever degree of attractive, or you have assumed what my age must be, that even if you're right in making the assumptions about how I appear to you, it doesn't justify talking down to me. And that's what I felt was always happening to me. It's like, oh, so this person thinks I'm young and pretty and stupid, so they deserve to talk down to me because I'm not going to be smart enough to know that that's what's happening. Fucking gross. Like, obviously I knew they were wrong to talk to me like that, because you shouldn't talk to people like they're stupid anyway. I have been in situations where I assumed someone would be able to follow a certain type of conversation I initiate, and then I realize they don't know enough for me to engage them in that way. I still never just said, oh, well, now I get to treat them like they must be an idiot because they don't know about this thing I'm talking about. It just made me adjust how I spoke to that person, and maybe would make me ask, inspire me to ask questions where I could then figure out where I should be going in the conversation. It made me more curious, not determined to be right and then unfairly judge and mistreat someone because of what I think I'm right in assuming about. I mean, right? Does that sound right to you? That doesn't, but it happens all the time. So I guess I have two beefs with that. I don't like that people assume that their judgments are right and that they justify their actions. But also, even no matter what the situation is, you don't have the right to treat someone poorly, no matter what the judgment outcome is. So even if we weren't talking about intelligence, if someone is a bigot of some kind, that doesn't make me right to put somebody down or mistreat them. That's the time, where if that were the situation and I disapproved of this kind of character, I no longer engage that person. I step out of the situation and get away from the person, rather than maybe, in some situations, sometimes this may not be what I would do, but I'm not going to give social approval to this person. So rather than taking the next step to be mean or inconsiderate towards someone I don't approve of personally based on my own values, there's no place where you're justified to that doesn't mean there's a justification to then behave in a way that you consider bad. right? So if you disagree with somebody who's bigoted, it's because you think they mistreat people. It doesn't then make it right for you to do the thing you deem unacceptable about them. So to me, to go back, it never made sense to me that someone says, because I think okay, so if a person has incorrectly evaluated me as not being something I am, which in this situation is intelligent, there isn't, it seems, okay, so they mischaracterize me, so then they're using their own ignorance to talk down to me about what is, to them, my perceived ignorance, which makes them a hypocrite. It's like, what you're doing is stupid. But what you're doing is stupid based on your assumption that I'm stupid. What? So, it was like, well, what do I even do? Because clearly now, I think this person is stupid and not worth taking the time to prove myself. And not that I necessarily felt obligated to prove myself. There were situations where I couldn't socially disconnect. Like what I was trying to say before is, so I'm talking to somebody at like a gathering of some sort. I realize this person is a bigot. If I continue looking like, so other people might have already known this about this person, and then I look like I'm interested in engaging them, that's giving them social approval. I don't like doing that. I like maybe somebody saying, oh, why'd you stop talking to that person? Well, let me tell you, this is what I experienced. That might happen. Which I don't think is gossip. That's sharing information in that case. Which you can maybe say is gossip, but I don't necessarily see gossip badly in a negative light. I think it can be beneficial sometimes. But give me 1 second. I'm going to step off camera for just a moment. I'm so frighty. That was probably amusing to see, however that ended up on camera. I guess maybe I needed to change the subject or get on a different path here, but I don't feel as though my wanting to be seen as intelligent, because now it doesn't really matter to me, and as I've said, I don't feel like I really hit that wall anymore. I'm starting to look my age. It's not a matter of wanting to be seen, as something better or something that's socially admired or appreciated or overvalued, because I don't necessarily believe that being intelligent, nothing really makes, no particular quality can make you better than another person, but intelligence on its own isn't necessarily a virtue depending on how it's demonstrated. But more of why it was frustrating for me to assume that because this is what my takeaway is on why people assume someone they consider attractive isn't necessarily intelligent, is because they assume that an attractive person would use attractiveness to get what they want and not feel obligated to be well-rounded. That's super awful. Don't do that to people. Don't assume anything like that, because I've witnessed it in other people. I'm not just speaking to my own experience. But the point was never to seem better, to be recognized for some sort of quality I thought was admirable. It was more the frustration of not being seen for who I am. I struggled with not wanting to be attractive because of that. But I still put on makeup and took care of myself because that's something I like doing. That's something taking care of myself and being presentable seems like just doing what a person does. and wearing makeup. I like bright colors and things. So those were just... So because I'm not downplaying a part of myself that I appreciate, which isn't necessarily to say I'm attractive. I have a face and I consider it a palette. You know? So I felt like I would have to intentionally not be attractive and then not be able to participate in parts of my life that I enjoyed in order to maybe seem intelligent, which I also, like, I couldn't... I just was constantly in this struggle of like, well, what can I do to improve how people treat me? Because you're also taught that people are going to treat you better because you're attractive. So it's not like I didn't want to be attractive either, really, because what's wrong with that? Oh, because of how people are going to treat you. People are going to talk down to you, even though the world wants to tell everyone that you get treated better because of it. You get more attention, maybe. People look at you, they like looking at you. That's fun all the time. No. But I don't know how... I don't hear people talking about that a lot. I don't hear open discussion about how you can't... I mean, I'm not saying nobody talks about it, and I'm not saying I'm a rare case of having experienced this at all. I'm just saying I want to talk about this on my platform because I think it's understated. It's underrepresented as, you know, having to feel guilt and some shame. Like, I felt guilt and shame for being attractive because I didn't think those meant anything. What I thought meant something was being knowledgeable and then being able to engage other people and take in some of their knowledge and share some of my knowledge. You know, I was more interested in the social and personal benefits of being smart. I wanted to be wise, like the Dickens. Like I as a young person, I resented being young because I wasn't smart yet, you know? Like, this is something I personally value, and no one is going to give me credit for it being a very large part of who I am, because they've blocked off that even being possible because they can see what I look like. Like, I think I'm just repeating myself here, but it's just really challenging to know, like, you're trying to do all these things to be the best person you could be, and you can't expect anybody to care, I guess. You know, you're gonna meet people who it's irrelevant, and I guess it's the meet people where they are type of thing. I learned to deal with it, obviously. You know, I wasn't always just getting mad about it. It was just frustrating as all get out. Like, wow, so I basically have to get old and less attractive before anybody's going to respect things I have to say. I think that's really the point I want to make. Amongst all the others I tried to make. Just, I don't know if it, I guess maybe I want to say this to maybe help some other people who are experiencing this by pointing this out to those who don't think about it. You know, there's plenty of intelligent and attractive men and women in this world. That it's like cruel to assume they're vapid. To their face, no less. I've had people like laugh in my face after more or less implying I must be stupid. And then I have to turn into an asshole. Because then I have to take a tone that cuts through their obliviousness and correct them. So then I'm a bitch. It's like, you can't win for trying sometimes. And all just because of stereotypes. stereotypes can run along the truth. There are definitely attractive people who aren't very intelligent, and so what? That's a different kind of person. But you have to see each person as uniquely themselves. Like, gosh. Because it's almost like a jealousy thing. Like, well, I think you're attractive, so now I'm defensive to you because I don't consider myself attractive. So there's all these, like, tapes running in the background, causing people to treat other people like a pile of crap. And assuming they don't even know you're doing that. Yeah. I think even people who may not be intelligent can tell when somebody's talking down to them. Even if they don't know that's exactly what it is. I've rambled everything I think I can ramble about this for now. Comments. Please feel free to make comments about what I'm saying if you think I'm misrepresenting something, or you have the same experience, or anything related, because I do think this is an interesting topic that, like, I would find feedback to my words interesting, because I'd like to know if people are like, oh my gosh, yes, I've experienced that so many times, or I realize I've done that to other people, or what have you. It'd be interesting to see who's on which side and all of that, and maybe giving clear examples from your own perspective of experiencing this either side you're on will help other people understand what I'm describing. I've cried about this and felt alone, because you can't complain about it either. You can't complain. Like, I mean, you say something like this, I've said something like this to other people who aren't sympathetic, and the response is just more, you're just belittled all over again. Like, oh, that must be so hard. That people think you're pretty, so you must be stupid. That must be a real challenge. Yeah, it fucking is, so fuck you. Okay, now I'm really done. Now I'm really done. Please comment and share experiences and all of that good stuff, because that's why I'm trying to make these videos, is just to stir the pot and see what happens. So, until next time, if there is a next time, in the meantime, enjoy your day. Toodles.